Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 6 of the monthly Structural Basics series, where we talk about structural engineering, my journey creating content online, and my life being a structural engineer. This is the March update, and today I'll talk a bit about my first ever product, then about stabilization, horizontal stabilization of buildings and structures, and finally, at the end, I'll share an update on structural basics. And if you stick until the end, you'll get a free gift. All right, let's get into it. Okay, story of the month. Today I want to talk about the launch of my first ebook, how the launch went, and I also want to show you like a sneak peek of what's inside of it. But first of all, let me explain why I actually created this ebook. The first reason is loads are so important. Without knowing how to calculate loads correctly or even knowing how to calculate them, you can't design your structural elements like timber beams and steel columns. And if you calculate them incorrectly, it might even lead to a collapse of your structure. And we're talking here about the lives of people. So loads, without knowing loads, you can't do structural engineering correctly. Then the second reason is that most unis don't teach how to calculate loads. Most unis don't have a dedicated class to load calculation and load combination calculation. And this ebook is actually the book I wish I had back when I was at uni, because I didn't have one of these classes. In some design classes, they just gave you the loads. They said, okay, design this reinforced concrete beam for a design load of 5 kilonewton per meter. And some other classes, they just said, okay, calculate the wind load. And then, you had to figure it out yourself, how to calculate the wind load. And I just remember back then I spent at a minimum 100 hours plus read through the different Eurocodes to actually learn how to calculate loads. And back then it was also super hard because nobody explained to you what kind of loads you have to apply and consider and how the loads travel from one element to the next one. And then the third reason is by creating structural engineering content online on my blog and on YouTube, I realized that there are so many of you who don't understand load calculation and how to apply the loads to buildings. So because of those three reasons, I thought, okay, it might make sense to write like a dedicated book about it from A to Z, and showing everything for a whole building. So yeah, the book includes all load calculation processes I personally use as a structural engineering in my job when I design buildings. And I added a lot of references to Eurocode where you can find those formulas. I also added so many 3D visualizations of how to apply the loads correctly on your building. But now let me show you what's inside. First of all, it's the cover page, and let's have a look at the table of contents. And let me just make some markups so you can actually see what I'm talking about. First of all, we have an introduction, what residential building we're calculating the loads for, and which standards we're using, some info about myself. And then what characteristic loads are, what design loads are, and then we're jumping right into it, like what the dead load is, how we calculate it for the whole building, for all floors, for all walls, for all roofs, live load, wind load, snow load, earth pressure, seismic load, and then at the end, load combinations and final words and outlook, how we're actually continuing from this, because I'm working on a couple of more books where we can actually then design those elements from that building with the loads that we calculate in this book. So this is basically the house that we're designing the loads for. It's like a 3-story residential house with a timber roof, some rafters, some purlins, a basement, so we also have earth pressure acting on it, a garage, which makes it a lot more difficult because we have different shapes. We have inclined roofs, but also a flat roof, and it's lower, so actually the snow is abutting here. So when wind is blowing that direction, and we have snow on the roof, this is actually falling down here, which means that we get a really big snow load on the flat roof here. Yeah, so I'm gonna show you how you calculate that, because I haven't shown that in the newsletter yet. And you can see like we have some drawings here, some sections, so everything is very practical, standards. Yeah, and now like I always also start to explain what area loads are, what line loads are, point loads, really all the basics you need to understand load calculation. And then basically we are jumping right into the calculation of the dead load. You can see like we basically calculate the dead load for all the horizontal and vertical loads. And I also show you how you do it, because we have always different floor layers. We have screed, we have floor heating, we have like on walls we have plaster. There's a lot to consider, and I basically show you in this guide how you do it. Then the wind load is also super detailed, and what I mean by a lot of visuals, so we always have those 2D visuals, but then also these 3D visuals where I actually show how you apply those loads to the pitched roof, to the flat roof, so you actually understand where and how the calculated loads are applied. Yeah, it's super detailed. Again, it's 50 pages. We also have a section about load combinations. And this is basically it. I don't want to show you everything because, as I said, until now there have already been more than 90 people who purchased the book. Yeah, but I think if you are struggling to understand load calculation, I genuinely think it's a good book to learn how to calculate loads and to understand it better and on a deeper level. And it's a very practical book. I've never seen such a practical book about load calculation. Most books that I'm using to learn from, they're super theoretical and they never apply the theory to like a whole structure, like a building. They always like pick out tiny little areas of a structure, like a beam or like a wall or whatever, and then show it for that element. But I'm really missing resources to show like the whole system, and that's why I created this book, and that's why I'm also continuing to write the other books that are coming in the future. Structure tip of the month: horizontal load transfer and stabilizing elements of a building. When designing a building, my job as a structural engineer is basically to transfer vertical and horizontal loads through a building and down to the foundation and then to the soil. And by doing that, actually also verifying that all structural elements can resist these loads. In the last episode, we covered like vertical load transfer. So today I'll show you how the horizontal area loads applied on facades become line loads which act on floors, and then how this line load then turns into a point load on top of a shear wall. Here's the step-by-step process I always follow when transferring horizontal loads through a building. Step 1, defining the static system of the stabilizing elements. And by stabilizing elements, I mean floor diaphragms, cantilever columns, shear walls, and so on. Step 2, applying the horizontal loads like wind load, seismic, earth pressure, and imperfection load to the structural elements they act on. And step 3, horizontal load transfer using these static systems. Now, before jumping into an example, let's clarify what we actually mean by horizontal load transfer. A building needs to resist the horizontal and vertical loads that act on it down to the foundation. The loads travel from one structural element to another until they reach the foundation. And of course, all structural elements need to resist those loads. We don't use the same structural elements to resist horizontal loads as we do for vertical loads. Here are examples of structural elements that stabilize structures: shear walls, floor diaphragms, wind braces, frames. Usually a building or structure consists of at least 2 of these 4 stabilizing elements, but a structure can also consist of all 4 stabilizing elements. Now, let's jump into an example: a precast concrete building. The stabilizing elements of this precast concrete building are shear walls and floor diaphragms. Now, I've also designed precast concrete buildings which included steel, concrete frames, and braces, but typically at least 90% of all stabilizing elements are shear walls and floor diaphragms. Alright, now let's go through the different steps. Step 1, static systems of the stabilizing elements. Floor diaphragms are more tricky than other stabilizing elements, and there are a couple of different methods on how to verify floor diaphragms and how they distribute the loads to the shear walls. But in this example, the floor diaphragms are 2 simply supported beams when the wind is blowing in transverse direction. The floors basically transfer the loads to the shear walls, and then the shear walls act as cantilever columns and transfer the horizontal loads down to the foundation. For the horizontal loads in longitudinal direction, the floor diaphragm acts as a simply supported beam, which transfer loads to the shear walls, which again are cantilever columns. Step 2, applying the horizontal loads. Let's say the design horizontal wind load on the facade is 1.5 kN per square meter as the total of wind load area D and E. In the horizontal load transfer, we can simplify and apply the total load on one side of the building. Now, step 3, load transfer using these static systems. In this step, we apply the hot load to the static systems and calculate the reaction forces. These reaction forces are then applied to the next structural element. The area load of 1.5 kN per square meter is applied to the facade. These facades distribute the area load to the floor diaphragms, and the facade elements usually act as simply supported beams. The line load on the roof diaphragm is calculated as 1.5 kN per square meters times half of the height of the story, which is 3.5 meters divided by 2, and that equals 2.63 kN per meter. And this line load we can now apply to the roof floor diaphragm. And for the first story, we just multiply it with 2 to get the line load that acts on the first floor. Then we calculate the reaction forces of the simply supported beams as line load times the width of the building, which is 40 meters divided by 2, because that's the reaction force of a simply supported beam. And this leads us to a reaction force of 18.4 kN. And for the reaction forces of the slabs of the first story, it's multiplied with 2, so it's 36.8 kN. Now, as a next step, those reaction forces are applied to the static systems of the shear walls. So we apply 18.4 kN and 36.8 kN to the cantilever column. The horizontal loads on the shear walls lead to a bending moment at the bottom of the walls and a horizontal reaction force. In this video, we don't cover how to calculate shear walls, but I'll add a link to a very detailed article where we verify shear walls. And then of course also the shear walls have to resist the vertical loads from the floor slabs. But actually the bigger the vertical load, the bigger the capacity of the shear walls for horizontal loads. Now the bending moment is then transferred into a compression zone. NC and C depend on the magnitude of M, and the bigger M, so the moment, the smaller the compression zone will become, which also means that the eccentricity of the load is much bigger. If C becomes too small, we have to add reinforcement at the other side of the wall to take up tension. All right, update on structural basics. First of all, the gift for everyone who's still watching. I created a free email course about loads. It's not as detailed as the ebook, but it's a good starting point. And you can sign up with the link in the video description. It's completely for free. It's 8 days, so every day you get an email about a different type of load, and I'll show you how to calculate the loads. Alright, so as of today, March 29th, we are 12,149 structural engineers subscribed to the Structural Basics newsletter. We had about 40,000 people visit our homepage, Structural Basics, in the last 30 days. And on YouTube, we have grown by 157 people in the last 28 days. We are now 3,305 people subscribed there. And then about my ebook, I launched on the 19th of March, and so far we have sold 92 copies, which is much more than I initially thought. But again, it kind of confirms that there's a need in the market for easy to follow step-by-step guides, which are very practical, which I think are not out there yet. And I've already started working on the next book. I will keep you updated on that one. On the newsletter, we published 4 articles. The topics were design of reinforced concrete columns, then calculate reinforced concrete columns with software, loads on residential buildings, and 12 software programs that I use in my job as a structural engineer. If you don't want to miss future newsletters, then sign up with the link in the video description. It's completely for free. Well, that was it for March. I hope you got value. I hope you return, and I see you in the next one in April. Bye.